So, what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome you all to this fine evening, and quick little word. What have you been doing recently, Bob? Well, let me tell you. I've been reading this book. It was written by a chap called Lord Moran, and its title is Churchill, The Struggle for Survival. Now, Lord Moran was a highly thought of doctor. He acquired a peerage, Lord Moran, and he was Winston Churchill's private physician throughout the Second World War and up to his death. In fact, if you look through the archives, he's the chap that announced the death of Winston Churchill outside 10 Downing Street on that unfortunate occasion. But we're not going to talk about the struggle of Churchill. When Lord Moran was a young man, he was known as plain old Major Charlie Williams, and he served in the First World War in the Royal Army Medical Corps as a doctor on the front lines. And while he was on the front lines, he was stationed just south of a little village in the Somme region of France called Longueval. And as the Somme battle progressed in July 1916, it became a very contended area. All kinds of unpleasantness went on there. And what Dr. Williams was fascinated by was how a man can cope with all what was going on around him, all that death and destruction, and how a mind can cope with it. It became the first serious study of what was called shell shock in them days, but now of course it's developed the name post-traumatic stress disorder. Anyhow, while he was writing this book, he used to talk with Churchill about how his own book was getting along. Not so much that he had planned to write this one about Churchill, but he was with Churchill and he was referring to this particular book, which I've since acquired, called The Anatomy of Courage. Now, this is the book that was based on all his notes about what he saw in the shell-shocked mind of the British soldier out there in the fields outside of Longueval in France. And it made him realise there was like a correlation between an education and the traumatic experience. He draws a parallel of courage being a bank account, and you can withdraw from that bank account until, of course, the bank account becomes empty, and then you have nothing left, and that's when the mind starts to go. And in the past, during battle, the educated masses didn't have the wherewithal upstairs, the education to ponder the consequences of what was going on around them. The war didn't have opportunity to destroy the mind because they just fought, the adrenaline, blah, blah, blah. But the British soldier of the First World War was sat around in trenches and shell holes getting shelled and bombed and machine gunned, blah, blah, blah. And he had time to think about the awful consequences of the situation that he was in. But that's not going to be what I'm talking about today, because I don't want to make this sound like a book review. This was merely an introduction. But, oh, for God's sake, do you know, I've had nothing but trouble with my lighters ever since my little tuppence halfpenny died. I got me half a crown, and that worked for a bit. Right, so sorry about that. Seem to lose the flow a little bit. Anyhow, Anatomy of Courage. This is the first edition that was first published at the end of the Second World War, going back to his experiences in the First World War. Now, of course, this is the first edition. Lord Moran was a peer, and he distributed his book amongst the ruling classes, if you will. And in this particular copy, which I picked up from an antique shop, it's got an inscription written on the front. Can't tell you who it's by because I've tried researching that signature and I can't find it anywhere. But anyway, This inscription on the front of the book was written on the 6th of October 1945. So the Second World War had not long since finished. There we go. So let me read this inscription that's at the front. It'll make you ponder. This will make you ponder. It made me ponder, and I've got my pondering pipe out as well. So let me tell you this, right? To my brave friend, this book contains some fine things, and some that are sad. But its first lesson is to us, the elite, never to lower our flag, whatever may befall. For on us depends the present and the future of Britain in this ever more difficult world. Now, isn't that quite a thing? It makes you wonder about these ruling classes of the British who've just been through all that nonsense in the Second War. But anyway, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I'm going to stop music now. I've had a patriotic moment. Oh, there we go. But there you go. Isn't that wonderful? What a dedication to have at the front of the book. If you get the opportunity to ring it, am I going absolutely mad? If you get the opportunity to read either of these books, either The Anatomy of Courage or Churchill, The Struggle of Survival, they are both very, very interesting. And it's a one-to-one with Churchill, so you get to have a feel of the man, and it's not like a book written by someone who didn't know the man, based on accounts from other people who knew the man. It is a first-person account of his time with Churchill, the discussions they had, the funny things that happened between them, the conversations they had, and the strange experiences throughout critical times of British history that's been documented. But it does mention this book, and this book, in terms of PTSD and the fragility of the human mind in battle, both very, very interesting reads. This isn't a video that we'd normally do with arsing about and just nonsense, but it was just a little something that I thought, it's worth mentioning. Well, I have my ponder pipe. Anyway, I'd like to wish you all the very, very best this evening. Godspeed, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. You all take care. Good night.
See if I can make this guitar swing. Yeah, cool. I need to get back into my guitar playing. Terrible. I sped up then. Anyway, yeah, look at this baby. Fibonacci. Why do I always whistle when I show off guitars? I always go. Very, very good, smart guitar. It's one of the finest guitars you can buy. Forget your flipping Fender Stratocasters and your Telecasters. Get one of these. Fibonacci made in Oxfordshire. Yeah, it's called Graham Easton, I think the guy's called. He makes them from his team. Makes these all top jazz guitar players. Martin Taylor, Perella Legrand, Nigel Price, all the top players play these guitars, and then it's me. It needs a lot of practice. Same thing, innit? Eight misbehaving is solid that in the middle bit. I broke my finger last year, this finger, and but I smashed my hand, fell over it. I wasn't even drunk, and it's brought the arthritis out. I've got arthritis in that thing. You see it bending. I can't bend it. I mean, this one's got arthritis in as well, but so I used to be able to play chords, stretch like that, and all this. You know, I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it. It's killing me. So I'll have to ponder on my pipe a bit more. Better play Georgia. No. Lost it.